Hi guys, so a few days ago I went to see a play at the Vaudeville theatre called Masterclass. This is the programme for it. You may recognise her, she's quite famous, although I didn't know about her until I saw the play. She's called Tyne Daly and she's basically the main star of the show, if you like. The play itself is basically about a masterclass in singing opera, to be more precise. And if I'm completely honest, I don't know anything about opera. I mean, nothing at all really. I enjoy listening to some opera songs, but I genuinely have no knowledge of opera whatsoever. So when I found out that the show was going to be about an opera masterclass, I was a bit hesitant at first, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. Because the main reason that I went to see the show initially was because of another actress who's in the show called Diane Pilkington, who happens to be one of my favourite performers. And as soon as I found out that she was going to be in the show, I thought, let's go and see it because I think she's great. And then a couple of my theatre friends who are around the same age as me went and saw it before I did, and they told me that they didn't really like it because they just couldn't really connect with the show and didn't really engage with it and just didn't really care about the plot, and that really worried me. So I went in having hardly any expectations really. I went inside the theatre basically thinking that I'm going to be bored and not enjoy it, apart from the moments that Diane was on stage really. But the show completely surprised me and I ended up absolutely loving it. I don't know why, because it is very different. It's completely different to anything I've seen before. I think the main target audience for this show is like people who actually, people who are above maybe the age of 40 or something, people who know a lot about opera and people who are probably more cultured than I am, because I felt like I was the youngest person in the theatre. Me and my friend were definitely like, we were looking at each other and we're like, oh dear, we don't really belong here. And it did feel a bit awkward at first, just because we felt like everyone was looking at us really weirdly, because people were just thinking, why are these young people here? Like, they don't know anything about opera. So I felt a bit intimidated at first, but then, as soon as the show started, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. So yeah, I'm glad I went. Anyway, a bit more about the actual show. It is a masterclass, basically, like I said. So the whole play is basically just a masterclass, and that might not sound very interesting, but the way it's done is, makes it very, very fun and entertaining and very, very interesting. Tyne Daly herself, I didn't know anything about her before I saw this play, but she is just incredible. She's such a brilliant actress and just such a great performer. She really engaged the audience, and she, from the very first moment that she came on stage, she made it very easy for the audience to listen to her and to kind of pay attention to her. And there wasn't a single moment that was boring when she was on stage, even though she was pretty much on stage for the whole entire show. She had so many lines, I don't know how she remembered them all, but yeah, she was fantastic. She plays the role of Mariah Callas, who I think is a famous opera singer or something that I don't know anything about. I should have probably done my research before this, but yeah, sorry. But basically, she's meant to be this really famous opera singer who's kind of a bit of a diva and who's just having this masterclass for loads of students to come and learn from her. Diane Pilkington plays one of the students, Sophie De Palma, and she was fantastic. This is the fourth show that I've seen Diane in. I saw her in Wicked first, and I saw her in 39 Steps, and then I saw her in She Loves Me last June. And every single character that I've seen her play has been completely different, and yet she always manages to make them unique and special and very, very amazing. She also gets to sing a bit of opera just before the end of Act 1, which was amazing. Her voice is just beautiful. The first act is basically just Diane and Tyne Daly, really. It's basically, the whole thing is just how Tyne Daly's character teaches Diane's character how to sing properly. There was this point though in Act 1 where randomly in the middle of the scene just everything changed, and it went to a blackout, and then Tyne Daly started doing a really massive monologue about things that just confused me completely, and that took about maybe 10 minutes or so, and I was completely bored. I tried to follow the monologue for a while, but then I realised that I don't understand it at all. And to be honest, I think those 10 minutes were probably the most boring parts of the show, if I'm honest, just because I didn't really understand what was going on and why it went from being in the classroom suddenly to Tyne Daly's character just being on her own and thinking of her past. And I think that's what the point was really, of her kind of telling us about her past experiences. But because I really didn't know much about the character, I didn't really care much, if I'm honest. The second act was just as good as the first act really. It was basically a continuing of the first half, basically continuing with the masterclass. In the second act, Tyne Daly's character, Mariah, meets two other students. One of them is called Sharon, who's played by Naomi O'Connell, who was fantastic. Her character's meant to be a bit of a drama queen, like, you know, a bit arrogant and stuff, and it's really interesting to see how Tyne Daly's character deals with her character and how she manages to kind of show her exactly where she's going wrong and what she really needs to do to get better at singing and performing and stuff. The other student that we meet in Act 2 is called Anthony Candolino or something, and who is played by Garrett Sorensen. He was fantastic as well, really good. He also had an amazing voice because both him and Naomi O'Connell get to sing as well, some opera numbers, and both of them were absolutely fantastic. For someone like me who doesn't usually go to operas and stuff, in fact I hardly ever go and see operas, it was a real treat to see, you know, people sing amazingly beautiful songs right in front of me with fantastic voices. The second act also has a random monologue like the first one. It's basically pretty much exactly like the first one, like just randomly going from the masterclass to like a random other scene where it's just Tyne Daly reminiscing on her character like before, you know, from years ago and stuff. Again, it was confusing. Again, I found it to be slightly boring and not as interesting as the stuff that was happening in the actual masterclass. But that only really goes on for about 10 minutes or so, so it doesn't really take anything away from the actual play. There's two other kind of characters in the show. One of them is Emmanuel, who is played by Jeremy Cohen. He's basically like the pianist who's pretty much on stage throughout the whole play. And although his character isn't really big in the sense that he doesn't actually have too many lines, I thought he was a fantastic actor because he was always in character, because he's on stage all the time. He doesn't get to say much, but he's just on stage, so whenever I looked at him I felt like he was actually in character, and his expressions and reactions to the things that were going on stage were fantastic and very believable. Another character in the show is the stagehand, played by Jared Carey, and again he's a very small role in the show, but he was also very convincing. He's meant to have a bit of admiration for Mariah, and that's quite funny to see and stuff. In fact, the whole play itself is actually very funny. I didn't expect it to be funny at all, but I found myself laughing like every 3 minutes or so. Mostly because of the way Tyne Daly delivered her lines and stuff. I think her character itself, I mean, like I said, I don't really know much about Mariah's character, but you know, the stuff that she said on stage was just very funny. She's got quite a sarcastic humour. And she's just a fantastic actress because, you know, it was just the way she said everything was just hilarious. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. The whole play, like I said, is pretty much a masterclass, but it's just interesting because don't think just because it's a masterclass it's going to be boring, because it's not. And I just feel very lucky to have been able to see such an amazing performance by someone like Tyne Daly, who, like I said, I hadn't heard of before at all. But then I saw her in this and I was like, wow, she really is a star. She's American, and I think she did the same play on Broadway for quite a while. And apparently she's been on like other stuff, loads of other stuff before. You know, she's quite well known. I just for some reason hadn't heard of her. But although she's pretty much the lead actress in the show, I thought the supporting cast were also all fantastic. Every single one of them, like I said, the students, the pianist, and the stagehand, they're all amazing. Very strong supporting cast who all gave such brilliant performances that, you know, when I left the theatre, I couldn't stop thinking about the performances. In my opinion, I think you know a show is good when you can't stop thinking about the amazing performances for like days afterwards. And that's how I felt with Masterclass. I felt like when I came out of that theatre, I felt like I'd seen a truly amazing show with fantastic performances from everyone. And on my way back home, you know, on the bus, I kept thinking about them, and I was like, wow, you know, I kept remembering like different lines or different situations from the show, or just random performances and stuff, and it really had an impact on me, and I think that's what makes a good show. So yeah, I very much enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's a show that would appeal to absolutely everyone. It is very different, and it is very specific with its theme and plots and characters and stuff. But I'd say if you want to see something that I think is truly great with incredible acting and really great performances, then I'd say give it a go. It's not very expensive to buy tickets for this. I think there are quite a few offers available and stuff, so if you look on Google and stuff, I'm sure you'll be able to find like cheap tickets to go and see it. I'd say it's definitely worth seeing it or giving it a go if you have the time and money and want to see something different. I personally found it very funny, very interesting and very engaging, but in a different way to what I'm usually used to, which was nice. It was kind of like a nice new type of fresh play really. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I ended up going. In fact, I think I might go back to it before it closes. It ends, I think, in the middle of April sometime, so you've got a couple of months to go and see it. And yeah, I definitely recommend it. It was just very good. And as you can see, I got my programme signed by Tyne Daly, who was really lovely at the stage door and stuff. And yeah, she's a fantastic performer. If you go and see it, do let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. And yeah, I'm sorry if this review was long again, but I just wanted to make sure that I said everything I wanted to say and made my opinions clear. As always, this is all just my thoughts and opinions. You know, don't listen to them if you don't want to. It's just my thoughts on the show. That's all for now, and I'll see you guys next time.